In today's episode, I look back at Saturday's victory over Western Sydney Wanderers at Go Media Stadium, our first home match of the 25-26 season. We ended up being 1-0 winners, but there's plenty to unpack. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show. Following last weekend's 0-0 draw away to Melbourne victory, Auckland were looking to use that as a platform to build upon. Steve Corica and the squad were looking to use that as a launch pad, a clean sheet in the opener, but no goals scored. So for the home game, they were wanting to bring a more attacking intent while maintaining defensive solidity. As reported after the match, Corica said 2 clean sheets in 2 games gave them confidence defensively. On the flip side, Western Sydney Wanderers came in seeking to rectify their opening weekend performance, and they knew it was never going to be easy at Go Media Stadium. The home crowd and the travel. So Auckland had the home advantage and were well prepared to press and control tempo. The lineups for both teams quite similar to the opening weekend's fixtures, but with a few tweaks. For Auckland FC, they kept their 4-4-2 formation. Michael Vau, after a good opening weekend, maintained his place between the sticks. No change across the defensive backline, as they put in such a great shift last weekend. And in midfield, we saw quite a similar lineup again, but with a change on the left. Jesse Randall, who was up front last weekend, went in as the left midfield, replacing Francois. The forward line saw Sam Cosgrove partnered with Guillermo Mai. Guillermo Mai started on the bench last week and got the nod ahead this weekend. For Western Sydney Wanderers, also a 4-4-2 formation. Goalkeeper Lawrence Thomas. Defence was Simmons, Pantazopoulos, Bonete, Gaspach. In midfield, Jugakovic, Brillante, Thurgate, Crave. And the forwards, Borello and Barbarousis. There was a few differences in the Auckland lineup where Auckland drew last weekend. The defensive unit was very solid, so everything stayed intact from the keeper to the defence. With a little bit of tinkering from last weekend, Randall dropped into left midfield in place of Francois, and Mai came into the team. The Wanderers lineup suggested they field a very experienced front line in Barbarousis and Borello, indicating they wanted to take the game to Auckland rather than sit back and defend. That said, their road trip and the hostility of the home crowd always makes things tougher. The match, of course, taking place at Go Media Stadium, and an attendance figure of 14,767, much lower than what I thought it would be. In our opening game last season, we had in excess of 20,000, and I was expecting it to be similar. 14,000 is around about 4,000 below our season average last season. So a little bit disappointing that we didn't fill the stands more. We had the upper south stand open, but it wasn't packed, and it left big gaps in the stadium on the east and west. It was a lively atmosphere, being the first home game of the season. Fans were energised, the port was out in force with a brand new tifo and a little display of white and blue squares at the beginning. And the supporters were very vocal, backing our team from the first whistle, knowing the importance of a solid home start. It was a pleasant day at Mount Smart. Auckland looked to exploit the home momentum, and the Wanderers felt the pressure of the travelling fixture and vocal home support. All in all, a strong home opener vibe. The Black Knights fans had reason to believe. From kickoff, Auckland took the initiative. They pressed high, looked to dominate possession, and were more aggressive. In the 21st minute, Jesse Randall, he broke the deadlock. He took a right-footed strike from just outside the box and placed it on the inside left. The only goal of the match. The build-up to that goal involved Louis Verstraete, who cleverly intercepted a goal kick from the keeper, who put it down the middle, and after a brief VAR intervention, the goal stood. Standout players in the first half, of course, Randall getting that goal. He would have wanted that a lot to boost his confidence from the previous weekend, missing some very open chances. Verstraete for reading and pressing, and Michael Vau in goal. He looked composed and had a crucial save from Crave. On the Western Sydney side, their defence looked a little stretched at times, especially in the wide areas. Their attack lacked penetration early, and the Wanderers struggled to impose their game. They had fewer shots than Auckland in the first half. Western Sydney Wanderers, they had some mistakes in the back line where Randall was given the space to strike. For Auckland, they had the majority of pressure. They missed more chances. For example, Francis de Vries in unknown territory, roaring down the middle, going for a shot, and it just went wide of the post. He could have perhaps squared it a little bit to Sam Cosgrove, where he could have got the Englishman in to get his first goal of the season, to get his confidence boosted. It was an encouraging start for Auckland, good control, a higher shot count, pressing, and they deserved the lead. The Wanderers, they had to weather the storms, and they looked more reactive than proactive. The second half saw Auckland continue with the same momentum. They still created chances and forced Western Sydney to defend. The Wanderers attempted to regain control. They looked to ramp up their intensity, but found it difficult to break through. There was a moment from Guillermo Mai who cleverly struck a left-footed curler which hit the post. Unfortunately, just bounced back out to the keeper. That could have given us a bit of a cushion. And it illustrated Auckland's threat did not drop off. For Western Sydney, they had spells where they applied pressure but lacked the cutting edge in the final third. Their shots were fewer, their build-up was less cohesive, and they'll feel that they should have done more, especially away from home. Standouts in the second half, Mai for almost getting that goal, and the defence for Auckland holding firm. Vau again was solid, but did leave the home fans gasping when he was a little bit too casual in the 6-yard box and almost gave away pressure when he took too much time. For Western Sydney Wanderers, the midfield duo of Brillante and Thurgate tried to step it up, but the service to the forwards was inconsistent. Auckland failed to put the game to bed early, and Western Sydney Wanderers were quite unlucky a few times, shooting over the bar or wide of the post, which kept luck on Auckland's side. Overall, the second half was more about Auckland managing the game rather than dominating, and Western Sydney Wanderers unable to convert pressure into a meaningful chance. There was a tactical shift of formation around about 85 minutes when Callan Elliott came on, and we had a 5 at the back. Sakai pushed more into the centre to defend that 1-0 lead rather than go for the kill. Much more important to get the 3 points on the day rather than leave ourselves open trying to seek a second goal. And after 5 minutes of injury time, the referee blew his whistle, giving Auckland all 3 points. So overall, it was a solid, well-earned home win for Auckland. They were the better team in terms of intent and finishing. The defence stood up, the attack did enough, and they now have another clean sheet in the bag. 3 points to build on. For Western Sydney Wanderers, a frustrating away trip. A good fight, but they lacked in the decisive moments. So just going through the teams that started, Michael Vau, again, he was in goal. His performance was stern and confident. His second clean sheet in as many games sets a strong platform, keeping Ollie Sale on the bench. Hiroki Sakai, again, showed his experience and composure. He controlled the flank well. Jake Gerward-Reich, what a performance again for him. Last week, he was my man of the match. And this week he put in such a solid home debut. Very calm under pressure. He got the interceptions. He won battles in the air. He was a big physical presence and a rock in the defence. Dan Hall, as always, reading the game very well at the back. Took his defensive responsibilities seriously. Francis de Vries, energetic, up and down that back wing. And he had that early chance. Lachlan Brook out on the right. He worked very hard. Good link-up play and offered width. He was really taking the game by the scruff of the neck, more often than not coming inside rather than going down the wing itself. Jake Brimmer, the manager's engine, he pressed and recycled possession really well. Whenever he's on the ball, it feels like time just slows down and his brain is working faster than everyone else. Even when he's on the ground putting in challenges, he's getting the ball each time. It was a very solid game from Jake, very intelligent. Louis Verstraete, also intelligent play, pressing from the front, instrumental in the goal build-up. Jesse Randall, decisive with his goal and good movement throughout. He's definitely at home out on the left, and I think we've found our long-term left midfielder. Guillermo Mai, threatening. He nearly got that goal for our second. and working alongside Sam Cosgrove, they'll grow together and they'll build that cohesion. Sam Cosgrove, hard-working, he held up the ball, offered an attacking presence, didn't have any clear-cut chances at goal, but there was a lot of work off the ball. He did pick up a yellow card, which was unfortunate, and he was quite the target for the centre-backs of Western Sydney, attracting a lot of attention and physicality going on from the Englishman. And from the Western Sydney Wanderers starters, Lawrence Thomas, goalkeeper, busy, made a few good saves and looked unlikely to concede. It was only that clever shot from Randall that beat him at the near post. Aidan Simmons, the right back, he was young and committed, but the pace of the game exposed him a couple of times. Anthony Pantazopoulos, he did his job, but the goal strike was hard to stop. Alex Bonatig, who partnered Pantazopoulos, a solid body, good tackling, though a little off the pace at times. Left back Alex Gersbach, he tried to push forward, but Auckland's pressing limited his impact. Jugakovic, experienced, tried to drive forward, lacked the support around him. Brillante, good distribution, but his team needed more defensive cover from him. Thurgate worked hard in midfield, but caught too far from his forwards at times. Crave out on the left, he had pockets of space, but not enough supply from his teammates to trouble Auckland. Borello up front, mobile, trying, but the final ball and the composure were lacking. And the Kiwi Costa Barbarouses, always a threat. Working hard, but his influence was blunted by Auckland's resilient defence. Let's now take a look at the stats from the game. Western Sydney just edging it 52% to 48%. I think I was watching a different game because I felt we were much more in control of the ball and possession a lot of the time. I would have picked ourselves being closer to 60%. Shots-wise, Auckland 18 and Western Sydney Wanderers 11. A lot more attacking intent from Auckland FC. Of those on target, 8 for Auckland and only 2 on target for Western Sydney. Passing percentage was edged a little bit by Western Sydney, 84% to 80%, and an XG of 0.61 for Auckland FC and 0.99 for Western Sydney. So it shows there was luck on Auckland's side because Western Sydney were unable to convert those good chances that they did have. Tackles 62% for Auckland against Wanderers 56%. So a more solid defensive performance from Auckland. And the Western Sydney Wanderers keeper was the busier of the two with 7 saves to Vow's 2. Corner kicks, Auckland loved the corner kicks, 8-0 corner kicks for Auckland FC. The special corner kicks from De Vries coming in didn't result this time in any goals. The match ratings you can see on the screen, they have been pulled from Flash Score. They've given Verstraete man of the match. However, there's 3 players that closely contended man of the match for me. Jake Brimmer, with his intelligent play, winning the ball, spreading it out wide, and coming back to regain possession. Lockie Brook, he was on the ball a lot. He was bringing the ball in field, spreading play. He just had great fight in him. And Gertwood Reich, solid again at the back. And just a rock. And so reliable. My man of the match would go to Gertwood Reich. The most important thing was getting the win. And he helped maintain that really solid back line. 2 in a row now, man of the matches that I've given to Gertwood Reich. He was such a crucial part of the recruitment, getting in a centre defender. We lost the experienced Tommy Smith with Pinecker out injured. Gertwood Reich came in and he's helped our defence continue be at their very best, building up a solid partnership with Dan Hall. It's going to be tough for Pinecker to get back into the starting lineup once he returns from injury. Gertwood Reich just not putting a foot wrong, very reliable. And he's only 21 years old, showing maturity way beyond his years in football. Some takeaways now and looking forward to next week's matches. For Auckland FC, the defensive base is solid. 2 clean sheets in 2. That'll give them confidence. They created plenty of chances, some good attacking signs, but scoring just 1 from them suggests improvement needed in conversion. Next week, we host Adelaide United at home. We'll want to dominate early, use home momentum and perhaps rotate attacking options to keep the pressure. With the same backline likely to remain, the coach may decide to push a little higher up the field, maybe bring on a more creative winger or attacker earlier to convert the chances. The focus will be on maintaining those clean sheets while being more clinical up front. Also managing the physical load, first home game, travel done, expectation high. For Western Sydney Wanderers, they did show fight, but away trips are tough in this league. They must sharpen in the final third execution. Next week, they'll need to regroup, refine their attacking transitions, and perhaps alter their lineup or tactics to avoid being hemmed in. The 4-4-2 worked in structure, but Auckland's pressing troubled them a lot. Maybe shifting to a slightly deeper block or doubling up in midfield might help them. Also, the psychological effect of conceding early in this away game and then chasing the game may affect them next week. They'll want to start stronger, not allow the home team to settle. For Auckland, this match reinforces their identity, what we saw much of in the first half of last season. Strong defensive foundation combined with attacking ambition. Going forward, the challenge is to turn that dominance into goals. For Western Sydney Wanderers, this is a wake-up call about away fixture intensity and the need to adapt quickly to opposition pressure. The league is still early, however, so both teams will keep adjusting. Well, that wraps up today's episode, a reaction to Auckland FC's 1-0 win over Western Sydney Wanderers on the weekend. A very much needed 3 points in the bag and the start of momentum for things to come as we prepare to defend our Premier's title. Hopefully we can see crowd numbers rise again a little bit higher. 14,000 is, I'm sure, a lot lower than what the club was expecting on opening day of the season. And we'll all be back next weekend in the home game versus Adelaide. Last time round, it was an epic 4-4 draw. Lots of goals. We'll see what happens next week. I'll be back later in the week with a match preview of the game coming up against Adelaide. Saturday at Go Media Stadium, 5 p.m. kickoff. Be sure to follow on Spotify, YouTube and Apple Podcasts so you don't miss that one. Until then, up the port, up the Black Knights, and goodbye for now.